Hello.
Madash.
Hello.
And myself, Madash. You might notice we're somewhere a little bit different this time. Today we've decided to take over Mod John C's house. Thank you very much.
It's decorated specially.
It's a good sofa.
Yeah.
It's very
You
good.
can turn
sofa.
4.
It's got a real sofa, not like
We
that
ain't four
kind of
yet.
plank we sit on.
Well, is it next Wednesday, our actual
22nd.
birthday? 22nd. Yeah, next Wednesday.
So
As
how
much
long
as we
is
launched the event for the 4th birthday party, we ain't 4 quite yet.
How long's the birthday party event stay in for then?
Typically we leave them for 2 or 3 weeks. If they want it for a bit longer, it doesn't hurt us.
A lot of positive reception so far, I think. People
I'm,
like it.
I'm very happy with how it went down. It's this is the first time I've done this sort of content. It's the first time I've done a cutscene, so I'm happy so many people enjoyed it, that's for sure.
Do you think they could tell that you made it because of all the maths in it?
Well,
They enjoyed the maths. Right?
Darlet Cookie pointed out quite rightly that only in RuneScape would everyone who's invited to a party say they'd rather stay home and do maths.
That's a good point. I remember when we came out of that the kickoff meeting for the birthday event, and Kieran was just cringing all over the place about the idea. So you turn it into something epic.
I have trouble imagining somebody walking around the office cringing all over the place.
It's kind of like
Having palpitations on the back after one coming.
you pulled it
That's
off.
on Reddit. All right. Shall we get into the questions today then? All right.
We should do that.
Lap says, what are your thoughts on adding more private bossing areas?
See, it's a thing. I don't mind giving access to the boss to fight it. What I do have a problem with, though, is the fact that all the drops can therefore come in the game as fast as, well, infinite people fighting the thing all the time. And certainly that might have something to do with why the Kraken tentacle is so plentiful. Also, it doesn't go out the game very much.
Right.
So what we did for the Dagnoth Kings in today's update was not add infinite of them with private rooms, but add a second one where you can only go if you're on target, a Slayer target, so that people who need one for their assignment can have one, but at the same time we haven't got so many of them for every single player that the special rings they drop would be coming into the game like the clappers.
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly what Ash said. It's a matter of balance. We don't want you to just have instances everywhere for that reason. I think God Wars would probably be the next one we want to look at. I've got a report request in with analytics to look at how busy the God Wars chambers are. So how much time during a day are they actually free? And now we've got some new worlds as well. It should help ease the pressure.
12 new worlds today?
12 new worlds.
So that should probably help a little bit.
Something we did offer, of course, was to let you have private instances of the boss rooms, but with the unique drops taken off the drop list, which would allow you to do your Slayer things, but you wouldn't get those drops while you're at it. Convenient, but turns out most people do want those drops.
Yeah.
I get that, so we didn't do that.
I'm not being rude, by the way. I've got the Twitch chat because we've got nowhere else to look at.
Well, there's other options as well. Like we don't have to just manually add an extra room. We could do it through some form of content, such as going to another realm where there's another copy of General Grador, for example. And he just looks a bit different and does something a bit different, but in essence is the same boss.
Colonel Grador.
Right. All right, let's hop to the next question then. Biomaster says, could the leaf-bladed battle axe do its job better? It is better with crush than slash, yet 3 of its 4 options are slash. Karasks and Turos are also resistant to crush and slash, and the leaf-bladed sword is equal or better to in most situations. I suggest at least flipping the attack styles around, so it's 3 crush and 1 slash, and removing the 20 crush defense from Karasks and Turos.
I think it could indeed be a lot better and more appropriate for what it's meant to be.
Sounds to me like it's inherited, of course, the usual behaviour of a battle axe, the stances of a battle axe.
Yeah.
But being leaf-bladed, it wants to be a slash weapon, because that's the point of a leaf-bladed weapon.
What do you think about offering a buff against Turos and Karasks similar to the Arclight has on demons?
It makes sense.
Makes sense. We'll come up with something, because I mean the whole idea is we got a lot of feedback saying, why is it not level 50 like the other leaf-bladed weapons? But the whole point of this was that it's a higher tier weapon. I mean, one of the reasons those tasks have sucked is because you had to go and use a level 50 weapon instead of your great whip, right?
Or it might have to be a
So
spear.
the whole point was to make this a little bit of a higher weapon so that it's a bit more reasonable to go and do these tasks with. And if it's not quite achieving that, then I think we should have a look at the stats and whatever we do, make it decent.
The good thing is it's actually not that hard to introduce a different type of a weapon. Like, it means it's like a new style of weapon in the combat interface code.
Yep.
But they're actually quite easy to plug in these days.
All right. Cult says, can you add the Xerix teleport to the jewelry box if you have built the last tier?
I don't think it really suits going there, to be honest. The way that it uses the lizardman fangs, it works as a... You've got to use something up, while with the jewelry, you use the jewelry directly.
So they just want a more convenient place. What do you think about like mounting it and having to charge it that way? Similar to the glory. Or
Normally people want things mounted because that way they don't have to keep
Waste
recharging
inventory
them ever.
space.
And we are rather fond of there being a use for lizardman fangs.
I mean, we could get away with it if we gave it a ridiculous amount of fangs cost to create, such as like 100,000.
right.
But that you still technically get unlimited, but you're probably playing for a number of years before you get that. But I don't think we're planning on taking the game anywhere.
Lizardman lives matter, and you just... That's 100,000. How many teeth do they have? Like 15 each? You're talking a lot of lizardmen.
They shouldn't be on the battlefield then, should they? Get good or go home.
Let's move on then. Ultra King says, can we do something with the huge amount of useless empty boxes, drawers, cupboards, and chests around the game? Perhaps give them a chance of getting junk, somewhat useful items like food or runes, or maybe a rare chance of receiving something decent. Could be tied to the thieving skill.
There used to be some code for finding stuff if you searched them. Andrew actually had us take it out a long time ago. Reason being, he was doing the Sea Slug quest. He goes to the fishing platform and he's meant to search... Well, he's meant to find some broken glass out there because that's how you do the quest.
Yeah.
Then he started searching the furniture and found something. Assumed, oh, I'm in a quest area. I found this in a hidden secret place. Obviously, I must try and use this to do the quest because why else would it be here? And he spent quite a lot of time wandering around with whatever the heck it was he'd found, trying to work out what to use it on to make the quest advance. So he came in and had us remove the ability to find random stuff in so many places where there was before.
Yeah,
we could put it back again though.
It's a cool idea in theory, but I think in practicality, for the reasons like that, I mean, the amount of crates that are mapped down everywhere, it would just cause more confusion than it's worth.
Imagine doing like, what is it, the waterfall quest? You have to go and search like a different colored crate. You'd probably be in there just searching every single crate looking for it, had you not been following a guide, obviously. But also, it's not nearly going to compete with the most efficient methods, therefore no one's going to do it.
We wouldn't really want it to unless it was an actual pick, lock the chest thieving thing.
It doesn't add much.
I mean, it'd be an interesting way to maybe get like a clue scroll, I guess. But
I mean, with that said, clue scrolls do use these crates and wardrobes and stuff.
right.
They are the times where you do search them and find something.
Okay. Lord Gozer says, can the rooftop agility course animations be looked at and updated, including the infamous broomstick flight in Canifis?
The artists, exist now, which they didn't in 2013, so we've got a chance to do better than could be done in that time.
I think they did exist, they just weren't on Old School.
Oh, that's true, Mod Ghost did actually work for us. Just
He did exist. It just didn't work for us.
Well, he's a ghost.
Well,
so
he wasn't important until he came to work for an Old School, so they matter now. Anyway, we've got them, and we can get animations out of them. I would be quite glad to see the back of that broomstick.
Yeah, I don't think anyone will be complaining.
Like, I get why it had to be made that way. I couldn't, off the top of my head, I couldn't think of anything that I could tell the developer to do that was better than that. But I don't like it.
Is it a broomstick or a pole vault?
It's a pole vault, albeit. Yes, it's a witch's pole vault.
It's one of those jobs that it's like...
Someone shaved the broomstick.
It's a nice graphics improvement project. It's about finding time for those sort of things. We have 2 artists.
Fortunately,
And
we're
we've got this
hiring
going on.
more.
But we are, indeed.
It's worth pointing out though, whenever we offered to redecorate Nightmare Zone and make it not look like something cobbled together by somebody with no modelling tools, it was. The players said no, they'd rather spend time on something else. It's conceivable this might go the same way because...
I don't know.
Well, we're getting more artists, so we'll have more resource floating about to do these sort of jobs without it impacting on other cool stuff that we want to do as well.
Of course I can't see the chat, but I imagine they're in favour of that question.
Well, it's not like anyone likes how it looks.
Yeah, alright. Grimy says, suggestion here, revert the silver jewellery graphics to their old school versions.
So we did that today, kind of. So we swapped the 2D params, so how they look in the inventory of the unenchanted and the enchanted versions. So they still look different. So when you're going through and enchanting a whole inventory, you can see which ones you have and haven't done.
Okay.
But the enchanted ones are now looking consistent with how gold jewelry looks.
Fantastic. Battle says, recolor the Phoenix pet with firelighters.
I saw this suggestion over the weekend on Reddit.
It had a lot of support. This is the type of thing that surprises me.
It's
Getting
fine.
out of hand.
It is. It's kind of like, oh, well, look at all these pretty recolors for this pet. Now I want it for this, and I want a blue heron pet and a purple beaver and all these different colors. And it's just like, it doesn't really make sense. You just want it to match your outfit.
You feed the purple dye to your chin chomper. For what it's worth, though, the infrastructure for pets with multiple forms is a heck of a lot better than it used to be.
Yeah,
so it's at least more feasible to do that kind of thing than it used to be.
Yeah, the menagerie now remembers which one you put in, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Probator doesn't, by the way, but frankly, if you lose a pet, then you probably took it to the wrong place.
Yeah.
All right. On that 13th says, please make the agility hood count as the graceful hood, just like the agility cape acts as the graceful cape.
See, I don't like this because they're skill cape perks, not skill cape hood perks.
Ooh.
Would we then be obliged to do it to all skill cape hoods for something?
That's a good point, honestly. Yeah.
Skill cape perks, friends. No.
I'm not saying no, but it's something you have to consider. Like when we start drawing the line, because we take these requests and then do them, and then before you know it, 3 years later, we've got 16 other different variants.
It's a valid point. I mean, the hoods have always been absolutely useless, and this would finally be a hood without or with somewhat of a use.
I mean, the suggestion of the agility cape itself just giving you the graceful set effect without needing the full set of graceful.
We did that.
No, it's just the cape.
Oh, you mean
The cape
to get the
replaces
set
the
effect,
cape.
you still need it with a whole graceful.
Yeah.
The whole the idea is that the cape would itself be insufficient to provide you the graceful set effect.
just the cape?
And that was obviously quite a buff. Whether people think that's okay or not is up to them.
I mean,
but
they-
99 agility is quite an achievement.
They have requests for each skill cape which have a lot of support every single week, and they come up very consistently. And we've said, yeah, that sounds like a good idea, that sounds like a good idea. I think it'd be interesting if we could somehow offer them, all of them, in one place or in one poll. But
An entire week's poll of it being the skill cape poll.
Yeah, that
is
makes sense.
the way
would they
to
like
do
to
it.
see that over other things, maybe less?
Well, once we've got past Quality of Life Month with the stuff we promised for that, that could be the thing we do in March.
Yeah,
as far as I'm
we've
concerned.
certainly got a gap. I think. We should be able to get it done. And yeah, the requests do come in. So sure, Ronan, put together a skill cape poll.
Okay, he's giving you the look.
Ronan,
All right.
do what you're told, Ronan.
You didn't click your fingers.
Kindle says, can the Ring of Wealth also pick up Tockle as it does with coins?
It can.
The way Maz programmed that thing, it can be programmed to do special effects on any item at all, including, 2 dose defense potions if anything's dropping those.
It might fit another item better than the Ring of Wealth. Something specific to the Tsar, maybe.
Ring of Stone.
Yeah, it could do the Ring of Stone.
You can't
I
equip
know.
that. Okay.
Funny.
What do you think of the idea, though?
It makes
That's one of those
sense.
tricks as well. It's all a lie. You don't actually equip the Ring of Stone either.
You used to back in the day.
But now you click the ring, it just hides your inventory. It doesn't even equip it. You just turn it into a rock, and when you click on morph, it's still in your inventory. It's all a lie.
But no, yeah, we do it with coins. There's no reason not to do it with Tockle. I just think it'll fit a new item better. Perhaps something tradable, cheap and cheerful, and dropped by the Tsar themselves.
I'm surprised many people kill the Tsar for the Tockle, specifically. I guess it'd be a nice thing to kind of realize, oh, I've killed 1,000 of these, and now look at all this Tockle that I wouldn't have actually bothered to pick up.
Yeah, I don't expect many to kill it directly for the Tockle. It's
Right.
more just a side effect of killing them for the other drops, and then happening to get the Tockle at the same time.
Cool.
So Ronan's adjusting the lights because the sun is setting outside.
See, I thought we looked a little orange
Look at
today,
that.
but we
You
can
look
tell
incredibly orange, but
we got a 10.
It's a healthy look.
the tone of the light can't really change.
In our line of work, we could get very, very pale.
Okay. Build the Wall says, suggestion, at 99 construction, allow us to mount the Demon Butler's head.
His name is what now?
Build that wall. Suggestion, at 99 construction, allow us to mount the Demon Butler's head.
We can expand that hotspot now.
You saw on Demon Butler?
See it. I
Sorry.
feel like this is a meme question, but I also would like to see it. So.
It would be funny. It's a very RuneScape thing, like to be able to mount your butler's head when you've got 99 construction.
Just the demon one, though. Not any of the others.
Well, he's the one that takes the most money.
He's got the most interesting.
So I don't like him the most.
What implications does this have? When you set up this butler's head on the wall, can you ever get him as a butler?
He's also
again?
the least like humanoid one, so it kind of feels less harsh, right?
This man
Have
is.
a decapitated butler just doing his usual business.
Yes,
Butler just
I
Yeah.
will implement that.
We can get away with it
Can you
because
mount
he
the
is a
body on
demon.
the suit of armor stand without the head?
All the demon butler ever does is try to make your life easier. He goes to the bank for you. He goes to the sawmill for you. Like,
And all he wants is a lot of money.
it's not even that much money. It's
Yeah.
like what?
And you know what?
10,000
He's really irritating
coins?
though because he does it too fast.
He doesn't even
You
go
want to
to
use
the
the
bank.
butler level below him.
Yeah. We exposed this. He doesn't even go to the bank.
No, he doesn't. He just disappears. He
Yeah.
deletes himself and re-teleports in.
All right.
It would be funny if it's just demon butlers started spawning in banks across the game.
They get
It's-
a bit upset when he turns up through fairy rings. They think that's a bug.
Yeah, I know.
It's probably one we can hang on to. I'd be curious to see if this has any support or if it's just a meme.
I would be willing.
Yeah.
I really would. Because I think it's funny, but they might want us to do other things.
I've got a question. If the construction skill, when it shipped in 2006, launched with that feature, would any of you question it?
Ooh. No.
Nope. Although I would be questioning, can I have the maid's head instead on the wall?
PG. Keep it PG. It's fine to kill demons.
We are moving on to the next question from King, who says, "Can grape farming be looked at / rebalanced? It's cool content, but seeds are too expensive and barely traded."
Where do you get those seeds from again? Is it the Tithe Farm?
Yeah, it is. We reduced the price for them already, I think, but not. Frankly, it's still quite a lot.
We can look at them again and just give more time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also the the Zamorak version of it. That's definitely a bit much.
Totally.
All right.
I think it's really cool content as well. Happily have more people going there.
Any excuse to get the grapes of wrath.
Timmy says, "Fondest memory of working on Old School since release."
Bank tabs.
not that moment right there.
What?
The Timmy moment.
That's how it's spelled. That's how I'm gonna say it.
Low light.
Yeah.
Bank tabs.
Okay. Kieran.
You first, John.
I don't know. I'm thinking we've done so much.
I can't even remember all the things I've done.
Okay, I'll talk more about bank tabs. See, I'd seen bank tabs for years in other RuneScape, and there's a few things about them I didn't really enjoy, like the way all the items shuffled up the moment you withdrew a stack. So I figured, well, I had about 8 years to think about it before I had to write my own version, and I thought I could do it without that design being needed. And I'm really pleased with what we got, the chance for Old School to do something that's definitely RuneScapey and looks like it fits in RuneScape, but just gets to learn from the hindsight and the way things have been before, and try for something a little nicer. So that's why I liked it.
I'm gonna go Monkey Madness 2. It was a tough one. Like I was thinking about achievement diaries because I love achievement diaries, but because of the state they went out in, and we'll not talk about why. I let those slip by. And Raids was cool, but Monkey Madness 2 was so epic.
Yeah.
It was our first quest. We had to do something of epic proportions, and we pulled it off.
Yeah.
And all through that week, we were all working until 2 o'clock in the morning just to add those final touches that make the RuneScape quest great. And
Yeah, I
it's-
was out of the country for most of the development of that, but I got to come back with jet lag and join you for some of that.
yeah,
so
it was that
it's
Wednesday
great.
night where there was the three of us, as well as
Maz at home working.
yeah, Maz was at home. Ian was helping out doing that final Gluff boss fight.
Yeah.
Jed, obviously, was who wrote most of the quest, and it was just brilliant. Like we were all exhausted.
Yeah, Maz was making that dungeon all by herself at home while we were in the office liaising with her remotely.
Of course, you remember, we tried to obviously get out on the Thursday, but we ended up actually pushing it back till the Friday in the
Yeah.
end. But that wasn't for want of trying. We
No.
On that Wednesday night, it was 4 a.m. when we went home, I think.
Something
we
like
came in
that.
Thursday morning, desperate to work on it again, and carry on.
And we just found a
try
couple
and
of
get it
other
out.
things.
And it hit 5 p.m. We just thought, we can't get it out today because we need to be around afterwards as well, because it's a big quest launch. Bugs can arise. So we decided at that point, we'll push it back to Friday. We had a bit of spare time.
Yeah,
And
but that's why Monkey Madness 2.
Phenomenal.
It was so well received. Like, and then it opened the doors for us to do quests as much as we like now.
Fondest memory, Kieran?
I'm torn between I'm torn between Master Treasure Trails and Abyssal
I was going to
Sire.
say, yeah, that's right.
Abyssal Sire was like the first QA project I had solo. You were away.
Yeah, I was
I'd
on
only been at
holiday.
the company I think 2 months at the time, and I just led that project by myself for over a week and a half testing it, and that was a last minute thing as well, where we were pretty tight for time towards the end.
It was rather. We'd slipped through to Mr. Runefest.
And it was just so fun. I mean, you coded it in such a state that it was completely bug free, and we just spent. I think as a team as well, we had you, Chris, Ronan. We all just sat there playing solo runs and trying to get the fastest times that we could. And
I had the fastest time in the team, I think.
We sat and just tweaked the numbers and the damage and the balancing of the boss to be spot on, and really happy with how that went.
I had that one bug before launch where it dropped the essence in standard form rather than banknoted form.
That was the one hotfix, wasn't it?
No, it was before
No,
launch.
oh,
We fixed it before
Oh,
launch.
wow.
Mind you, since I typed it off a list you gave me, I'm not entirely sure it was mine.
But then obviously Master Treasure Trails, that was my first dev project. I'd just become a dev. Worked on that for 6 weeks, put my life into it. Added so many stuff for the other tiers of clear as well as Masters themselves.
Improved the infrastructure of Treasure Trails under the hood.
And nice improvement.
That was phenomenal.
Means that maybe if there's a 2017 Treasure Trail expansion, it won't be quite so hard
You
to
have
write.
no idea how bad that code was before. The original developer worked on it in 2005, 2006-ish.
Four, I think.
And then another developer went to it in 2014.
Yeah, I wasn't a member of staff when Treasure Trails came out, so we're talking early 04, I think.
That's crazy.
Because I joined in July.
I would say, I've said this before on livestream, I'm quite sure. Finding somebody kind of spontaneously, there was a bug reported, and I went on to investigate. I found the guy doing it, and I was kind of sneaky, and I helped find a bug, which was like, I was like, oh, I don't get to do this, I'm not QA, I found the guy doing it, get out of here, you're gone, bug fixed. That was pretty exciting, I enjoyed that.
Yeah, you got a big smile on your face.
Yeah, it was so cool.
It was awesome.
I was just like, look at this guy, he knows what he's doing.
Oh, that was so good.
Yeah.
You were like full investigation.
I went I was on top of it.
Ronan, what's your fondest memory?
It's got to be either first Deadman, the original.
The original launch?
Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
Because that was just pure fun for everyone involved, or at least like the first week, whereas no plans, or Iron Man.
Iron Man was a great one. Although Iron Man, while it's great and offers great content, we really didn't have to do a whole lot. Like, me and Ash made most of that the day after Runefest on the Sunday.
Yeah, we met up in the Sunday in the office or Sunday afternoon and finished off Iron Man mode and went to the pub.
Deadman was a fun one.
Yeah, I'd say hosting Deadman tournaments is usually my close second, or probably actual first, but you know, that's kind of a weird one that stood out.
I got to put Raid second. That was epic, especially like the last 3 weeks, where it was all coming together, and I was on a different continent. That was so difficult for me. I'd never been away from the office for that long, and I had no contact with any of you, and I had no idea what I was coming back to.
I think Raid is the thing I'm most proud of.
Matt said much the same about Isaiah actually, because Christmas 2015, he knew that the three of us and Wild Ghost were in the office working some pretty funky hours, and him as a manager, he couldn't actually help as such. Like, he sent us encouraging emails, but he couldn't solve a problem if we had one, and so we just had to sit at home and hope we sorted it all out ourselves.
Let's jump to the next question then. It's been a while on that one. Carrie says, when will the name release be?
The support team's got a page about that, and at the bottom it says they haven't announced a date yet. Sorry.
All right, there you go. People says,
Keep it on that webpage though, because I imagine that's where they're going to update it.
yeah, where can, okay, so that's probably the best place to go. I imagine they'll probably tweet that as well.
If you, well, I can't do much from here with this bug, but if you search the website for the word names, it seems to be a good hit.
All right. People says, can we please pull Penguin Hide and Seek?
See, 2 years ago, I think that would have been an instant no, but the community's sort of come along with the game since then, and I'd be interested to see if it would pass.
I don't think it would.
It's a very good point that it is one of those things that would be an instant no, and was an instant no. We asked this, I've asked this several times actually, but the community does change, their opinions change, the game changes, so who knows?
It would also be one of the things they objected to is that you could reasonably never train a certain skill and still get to 99 reasonable.
It devalues unique accounts in that aspect.
So one could address that by not doing it exactly as it was before.
Yeah,
it depends on the rewards.
In such a way that they weren't a weekly.
It's even just the rewards. Like, some people just enjoyed the element of joining up with random people around the world and going and having fun and doing that. Not necessarily for the rewards, but just for the interaction and the fun. So, it's like, if we could maybe find a reward that everybody was happy with, I'd see it being more possible. But yeah,
We could still get some kind of reward shop where you can select clue scrolls, perhaps, or something, rather than experience. Might work. But yeah, the weekly aspect is another thing that I don't think was actually too popular.
I don't know how we could solve that.
I don't know, make it randomized. I don't know.
Still, time-limited events that reset is something.
Randomized would be kind of cool, actually. I mean, if you were like doing a Slayer task and you just happened to stumble upon it, which there would have been no way of actually knowing it was there. It was just sheer luck. Interesting.
Like what happened in Xanaris, where things just appear.
It was like when we did
Only
the
funny.
Do you remember we did the holiday events when we first spawned them? They were completely randomized throughout the world,
Yeah.
and you'd actually have to go in hop worlds to try to find them, kind of like that. But they were actually a bit more frequent.
That might work.
I don't know. It's a discussion that I'm sure the community will be having on Reddit tonight, to be honest. But let's move along then.
And other social media that we also read.
Figgy says, any hopes for Dragon Warhammers to be on the drop table from Shamans inside raids?
Well, if it was at the same rate as Onyx's off Tecton, then I wouldn't actually mind.
Actually, yeah, that's fine. It's the only thing that comes to mind is the fact that you can just reset raids and it becomes farmable and it's kind of safe. But yeah, if it's that rare, I think we'd be
Yeah,
okay.
that drop rate with how few you get to kill in there.
Because people don't, as far as I can tell, rinse and repeat for a Tecton.
No.
Also, the reason they want the Dragon Warhammer is probably because they do keep getting the bloody
And
Tecton.
you'd probably be better off going and killing normal lizard and Shaman
Yeah.
than
Yeah,
doing
most
raids
definitely.
on repeat.
Okay. Speaking of that, I wouldn't mind adding a Slayer-only Shaman area underground, under the swamp. You only go down there if you're on task, and it's got Shamans in a slightly more appropriate environment for them.
That makes sense. I think we would have done it if we had the time with the raids projects over Christmas, because we wanted to get a single way combat area in.
And we have one, although it's a very, very small one, deliberately so.
Yeah,
I think that'd be really cool, actually, just having the Slayer area. Like, you can imagine the caves underneath, can't you? Like,
Well, the thing is, there's all those cave entrances on the surface, and Mod West made them to populate the Lizardman area. I put ops on them so you can click on them and see why you can't go down, but
Yeah.
we can let you go down and have a Lizardman terrain down there, see what their home life is like.
yeah, makes sense. I'd like to expand on that storyline a bit more.
Speaking of Slayer, actually, we do have a sneak peek of the week today, as
What, from here?
courtesy from Mod Ghost.
We do.
So we're going to have some images popping up on the screen. Of course, we can't see them, but we have a pretty good idea of what you're looking at. So these are the soon-to-come new Superior Slayer encounters. Is that right?
it's so orange.
Maybe you'll be able to see the very top.
There we go.
I can see them. Yeah.
Ugh.
Ew!
So
Ugh.
that's
That's
the
probably the
blood belt.
reaction he's going for there. Do you want to skip along with these then? There's quite a few.
The mutated insatiable
People will
blood belt.
screenshot if they please. And I believe these are coming next week, and he has even more coming the week after that.
I
right?
caught up with Mod Ghost earlier today, and we're hopeful of getting most of them out next week.
Right.
But it depends how we go. They might be the week after.
Yep.
But he's making very good progress.
He's made quite a few.
I'm
Yep.
not sure I want to sit near him anymore after seeing some of this.
And they're not just reskins. He's totally rebuilt the models for most of them with
These look great.
all new geometry, and they're just immense.
They are looking. They do look amazing. Oh,
Loving the
that's
pog
it.
chimps. That is such a cool. Oh my god. There you go. Beautiful.
Shiny.
There's my YouTube thumbnail. Let's go.
I,
So you guys can thank Mod Ghost for those. Look forward to seeing those in the near
we look
future.
so orange on this camera. I don't know why.
It's because the lighting in here. I've
Yeah,
got white walls with
it's
orange
Spray tan.
lights.
All right. So we were speaking of raids. I was going to tie into this next question from Andrew saying, when do you plan on telling us the raids drop rates?
Probably a long time away yet. We need to keep an eye on the
Really?
market because there's still a very finite amount of the items being traded and still in the game.
Right.
And when we reveal that information, it will impact that sort of microeconomy of raids items. So we'll probably keep it confidential for quite some time.
But
That's a
something
good
we
call.
are seeing is an increase in people doing slightly larger raiding parties than before. They've started putting together 20s and such like to go raiding in rather than everything being like 2s, 3s and 4s.
Maybe
Yeah.
better for them with like stuff like the Snow Demon. be more appropriate for parties that size.
I think
Well, Snow Demon's better for it now than it was yesterday.
yeah, we had a small fix for that today. But yeah, as players are starting to do more of that, we'll keep an eye on it because they might find the rewards are a little easier to come by.
Ooh.
What I will say is that to stop everyone posting on Reddit that they got really lucky because they got a unique and the pet in the same roll. Every single pet has been obtained with a unique. You only get a roll for the pet when you get a unique.
Are you crushing dreams right now? All right.
Don't get me wrong, it's still lucky.
You're still lucky,
You got a unique and a pet. That's exciting, but you guarantee when you get a pet that you've got it with a unique.
Especially if they get the super rare drops with it as well, because they're the different
Yeah.
brackets. So.
Basic Fails says, why do you keep asking multiple questions in one poll question? Says he's referencing this recent one that we're going to be polling with the PvP poll. Should the bounty hunter overlay display whether or not your target is skulled and the tier emblem they are holding, if any? And should the bounty hunter target overlay display whether or not your opponent is skulled? Oh, sorry, separating between the skull and holding an emblem.
Well, here's the thing. What we set out to do was think, shall we update that overlay? What else should we put on it? Well, they might like this info and maybe that info. All right, we'll offer to update it with this info. And yeah, we could have split it into separate questions, but to be honest, if you get a poll with lots of things with all the little bitty bits, and half of them depends on each other, it's getting a little bit hard to follow.
Right.
We can do it if there's something that's in there that's so separate that you really would want one but not the other. But doing it just for the sake of splitting up the question into all the possibilities wouldn't necessarily be helpful.
Right.
So we'll do it if they really do want to be able to vote on one thing but block the other one.
Exactly, and that is quite the case here. For example, whether you want to see, whether you want your opponent to know that you're in multi or not is always dependent on the player, right? So as an edge player like myself, I don't really care. I'd say I don't mind, or maybe I'd rather know actually, because if I'm about to teleport to him and he's in multi, I'd like to know that I'm about to teleport into a team or not. So that might be useful for me. But on the other hand, people doing that probably don't want that person to know that. So
You may not find it as useful as you think, because knowing that, okay, my target is not standing in multi, well, that's nice, but one tile to the left of him might be multi, and when you go there might be somebody with a big pointy red spear.
So yeah, it affects different players, really, is the answer to that.
Somebody in the chat asked about shift click dropping. Likely be out next week, assuming it passes.
Yeah, Mod Atlas, I think he goes by these days.
Jagex God.
Jagex God, yeah, did the engine side of that and pushed it over into our domain at about 4:45, so almost an hour ago.
Unfortunately, we're here talking to you lot.
Yeah.
All right. I believe we asked this last week, but it was kind of a meme stream last week, so let's get it again. Smithy says, could the Preserve prayer please be buffed to actually be useful, asking for 100% instead of 20%?
So he wants all of his potions to last twice as long.
5 times as long.
5 times as long?
Yeah.
Well, no. It's a simple answer to that. If you want to
What about twice as long?
Well, if you want to be able to go to God Wars and not have to leave for 3 hours, and in fact, let's give you a soul split. So you don't need any food whatsoever.
We would make it consume more prayer, I'd imagine, than what it does currently.
Yeah, at the moment it doesn't consume very much prayer deliberately, because I also didn't think it did very much when I was writing it.
So if there was a trade-off,
That's
cost more prayer.
Still a significant buff to a prayer that's very cheap.
Right. It is very cheap. That's a good point. All right.
I'm not saying no.
It's a very valid reason.
I'm trying to think.
I think it could do with a little bit of a buff.
A small buff,
100%
perhaps.
might be a bit much.
Yeah.
Might be one worth gathering more feedback from the community versus just one player. But
Yeah, someone create a Reddit thread, talk about it there.
we assume there's a thread for every question we talk about.
Or whatever other social media methods you use.
Or our forums.
Misery says, can we look at getting some improvements to Pest Control pulled, such as more points for highest damage dealt in the game, or more points for every 250 damage dealt?
I'm not keen to encourage everyone to go for maximum damage themselves, because at that point you'll get the choice of, shall I go for the portals, shall I bother going for that spinner? No, because if I just keep going on all these other monsters that don't do anything, maybe I'll be the person who gets the extra points. That's not a very good thing to encourage.
Right.
On the other hand, we can certainly call out the most valuable player, and that's something people do enjoy going for, even if it's not going to make them lose out if they're not getting it.
I think
We can also do a sort of clan-specific boat, I think.
So yeah, I did Pest Control recently. I got all the Void and Elite Void over a number of evenings, and I was thinking about Pest Control and what we could do to it. And it's to me, it's one of those mini games that's it just works the way it is. The ecosystem that it has, it works. If you want to go along and not pay as much attention to some of the other people, you just kind of defend. And unless you've got like people that are totally AFK, you generally have a pretty good run. The only thing I would really want to do to it is, apart from maybe add a few more rewards if people have got ideas, is do another tier of boat. 120 combat with it's even harder mobs that could.
Are there enough players to justify saying that would be accurate?
I don't know. We'd have to pull some data and run it by the players.
I think maybe something more to add some incentive there to rush more of those 120s over might make that more feasible. I think I personally like the idea of like a threshold that once you pass maybe even just 100 damage, at least just do something. You get just a little bit better rewards.
Or get rid of the shields.
Because people going in there and just doing nothing and kind of AFKing, it does ruin the mini game.
For what it's worth, what I'd like to do to Pest Control is to change how it picks people out of the boat. Because you know that priority system it's got? Yeah. There's a reason Jed didn't write one of those for Last Man Standing, because Jed can program something better than what that thing's got.
Oh, is it just reading off that certain coordinate that everything else reads off in it?
Well, it's biased to, I think, the north.
Oh no, we're exposing it.
Yeah.
Oh,
So everyone that
we're
runs to the
telling them.
southwest.
John,
Yeah.
who's been getting into Pest Control games very easily. the last couple of weeks. Nice
So
to see.
even if you've got the priority rank thing set on you, it's still biased like that. And as Jed demonstrated for Last Man Standing, we can write one that doesn't have that problem. And I would rather like to have a go at Pest Control slightly and stick one of those in it. Also, what we could do is, like I mentioned, do a chat channel specific boat where you can lock who's allowed to come with you.
It's a good idea, I think.
That's
Because
cool.
I think it's something people always did want back in the day before the shields turned up, was they wanted to go in there with just themselves and their high level mates, and once everyone else found out where they were, the XP rates dropped massively.
Yeah.
If we-
And the other thing is the timer to start a boat. If you're not hitting the limit of players, it's quite a long wait until it actually
is.
goes.
So what you could do is have a little toggle on the head-up display that you've got while you're in there that indicates I want mine to start as soon as there's the minimum enough people.
Yeah.
And when it finds there's enough people in there who've got that flag on them, it won't wait for the full 25 or whatever. It'll send that lot immediately.
If it's chat channel specific, could we just give them a start button?
Yeah, somebody will be the leader in there.
Yeah.
That sounds nice. I remember having to trade somebody, whoever was leading the whole group, trade him, and then he would trade you the coins that would
Yeah.
represent the world.
You get a few more peers, a few more boats around there.
Yeah.
Elite teams. That island's going to be full.
That would be more expensive in our game because everything's 300 and something.
Right. All right. So we like the idea, but maybe different ideas really to improve pest control.
What they don't want to do is change the tactics or change how you're meant to play the game. But we don't mind trying to give you something nice of having done it. A new form of the void that maybe gives us a differently balanced reward is viable.
Something me and Ronan spoke about not so long ago was doing another void set and giving the new one, which would be a higher tier, what existing void range has, and then we would fix the original bugs
Oh my God.
in the current one.
Yes. Can it have a higher defense requirement?
Yeah, that's what we were discussing.
God.
I was like the deflector thing. So,
yeah,
So other piece of void that you can wear, which gives you a choice of which spot you want to be free. So you'll be able to free up your body to wear like an armadillo body. You
Free
could
up
be
your
wearing
body.
some offhand instead.
yeah, that was a really cool item. I would love to get that in. Unfortunately, it's got to go through a poll, and I don't see it being too popular.
I love that idea.
I know you would because you're
yeah.
a level PK.
Mixed in the chat, but there is a
I will
surprising
persuade
number
as many people as I can.
Mixed in the chat. So.
In case people don't know, void range is kind of bugged in the sense that it wasn't supposed to be as strong as it is.
Yeah, it's
and that
supposed to
we've
be-
accepted it.
It's supposed to be 10%, and it does it twice, so it's 20, and it's just always been like that.
So yeah, when it's calculating melee bonuses, it looks at your attack stat, multiplies that by 10% for void. Then it looks at your damage, so it looks at your strength stat, multiplies that by 10% for void. Then the developer appears to have used the exact same thinking process for ranged. Looks at your range stat, do your accuracy, multiplies up by 10% for void. Now he wants to do your range damage, so he multiplies up by 10% for void, and you've got something that's been multiplied up twice. Now, it doesn't equate to exactly 20%, but arguably that's not quite what he was aiming for. And if it weren't the way the combat system were balanced for quite this many years, I'd instinctively say he'd just done it wrong and change it. As it is, when we bring back the old school game as it was in 2007, we kind of expect to have the armour generally work like it did in 2007. So I have not suggested we just change
No, I
it.
agree. That's a valid point, and the amount of people that have based their accounts specifically around that armor set would probably be a little upset. So
Yeah, we wouldn't just do it, and we'd have a conversation with the players.
A Mage Void is bad and will remain bad.
Or we could make that better.
Maybe.
With developers. Yeah, it's like-
Good. I believe right now it actually buffs your magic by 30%.
It's just accuracy though, isn't it? Not
But
damage.
it's just accuracy.
and there's not as strong a defense bonus.
And I'd be pretty iffy about increasing Magic's max hits for a few of those spells we got out.
Yeah, very much so. Magic's trickier to get right because the damage is attached to the spells.
Yeah, and one of those spells is Ice Barrage.
Right. Let's move along then. Misery says, can you look at the private storage bank in raids? It's actually difficult to remove items, whereas it isn't with the main storage chest.
You know, I've not managed to get to the bottom of that one. People said at first that it was ignoring their clicks or something, so we tried making it a little bit less likely to assume it was a drag request rather than a click request. But even then, they say it less. There used to be a lot more complaints about it before that change, but I've not managed to get to the bottom of what the problem is there.
Okay. Chad says, can we please have friends-only announcements with a toggle?
That's something I've discussed once again with Ronan. I think last year I went through a whole achievement system. So RuneScape 3 uses broadcasts for things like monster drops, level 99s, 200 mil on the skill, etc. And you can broadcast them to just your friends, just your clan chat, and the entire world. And there are some that are global, but they're on by default. And when we discussed it, we figured if we were going to do it, it would be off by default, and you would only see what you wanted to see. You'd have full.
So it came up on Reddit a few weeks ago as well. I replied to the thread, and the universal opinion, it seems to be, is that unless it's toggleable, no way.
Yeah.
Because it is spammy.
It is,
certainly is. And if it was in a situation where, firstly, you need to toggle to stop things you do sending out a broadcast. You don't want to necessarily be showing offline to hide from friends, and then get a drop, go out saying, oh, I just got this really super rare drop. Yeah, no. And then universal toggles for everything else. So do you want to see, so you'd have, I imagine, different categories. You have level 99 in skills. You set it to this world, friends, or globals. And you could do that for the different categories like boss drops and quest cape and various other things. That's the way I see it. Just universally, you can set whatever the hell you want. Basically.
I'm personally not a fan of like worldwide announcements.
What if it was just friends?
I feel like just friends is enough, and I feel like it kind of.
Yeah, but you'd have the option to.
Well,
I don't see an issue with having it if it's a complete option.
Again, this is one of those instances where I think it would be beneficial to us if we pulled this question in a couple different parts.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
we really let the community speak for what they want.
also an engine feature, which we don't currently have.
It can be backported though, so it shouldn't be too difficult.
Toggles
If-
would probably be being done differently.
I don't know what they've got exactly in there at the moment. They've had a few versions over the years. If the rule were, you can broadcast these things, but you will only be allowed to broadcast things where you've opted into seeing them from other players, then you can have spammy stuff going out, but it'll only be seen by other people who are okay with spam.
Yeah.
Can we get a straw poll, or is that not possible from here?
We can.
Actually, we get a straw poll.
I think if you've got a universal suite of settings for this, I don't see it as have an issue with everything just going out to anything.
It should be
Most
entirely
appealing
possible.
thing for me is having it start out with everything is hidden.
Yeah.
So as a player who
The
maybe doesn't
settings-
follow the week's
yeah.
updates, maybe has no idea, just logs in for the first time in a few months, the last thing you want to see is a whole bunch of stuff spammed without your knowledge.
Yeah, we can give you a whole menu for broadcasts. So if you want to say, would you like broadcasts? And then friends only, global, world selective, perhaps.
Really friends only.
Yeah.
And you'd be able to toggle
I would like
every
the
single.
ability, when we've done things like hardcore Iron Man launch, I think it's a bit of a shame that we couldn't send out those big messages in chat saying rank 1's just died in an in-game broadcast, because that's funny.
It is.
And rank 1 did die last week, by the way, or the other day.
He died at Zolra on the weekend, I think.
Yeah.
Rip.
Alright, we're going to get that straw pulled to you guys momentarily, and Rune will read back the responses, so go ahead and vote on that. In the meantime, let's go to the next question from Nerveless, who says, can you fix the ore shops at Blast Furnace for Ironmen? People keep dumping ore so others cannot buy ores. Maybe make the shop delete items faster.
I'm pretty sure, did we split that shop?
It's, I think, actually I can't remember whether we did or not, but even so, Iron Men would still be able to grief Iron Men if they wanted to. The thing is, I remember the developer making that shop, and he said he'd given it an incredibly slow respawn rate so that it was not a viable source indefinitely for people to keep taking items from, because it would deplete. And in the case of the Iron people, what's going on is, well, someone drops a thingy in it, at which point it doesn't deplete for a while, and they can't shop from it at all until that happens. But it was not intended to be the great source of ores, because there's skills for that. On the other hand, I'm pretty sure we would be able to write some code that makes it, restore downwards faster than it restores upwards, which would mean that people dropping stuff in it don't have the effect of locking the shop up for the rest of the week. But if people buy all the stuff out of it, it's still gone.
This seems like a good solution. And if you're the Iron Man that is overstocking the shops, stop it. It's like, why?
I hope you're very proud of yourself.
So, results from that straw poll. Would you like broadcasts? No, 15%. So 85% of people want to see broadcasts in some sort of variety. Worldwide and friends toggleable, 67%, and 18% said friends only toggleable.
Which one is the 67?
Worldwide and friends, essentially the suite of toggles.
Okay.
I'll put together some investigation. And see what
It's worth investigating.
That's worth
what
pursuing.
we can get.
That's cool.
Yes, and what other engine features we'd have to postpone if we wanted that.
Yeah, the list is getting quite big. So it might be some time yet. It's engine work, and you know what it's like. But
it's worth looking into and seeing what.
Okay.
Yeah, if they decide that the thing they most want from the engine team is those broadcasts, then sure.
It's a good feeling when you get a rare drop and then having all your friends tell you, "Oh my god, I'm jealous." So, congrats.
I'd love to be able to do it for some of those server first things we've had as well.
Yeah, completely. It's like when we do launch raids, it's nice to be able to put out a tweet, saying the first team to complete a raid, blah blah blah. But it's nice if you could do that in game.
We'd want to keep it sparing, of course, when we're the ones sending it out. I mean, like the broadcast we send out for these streams, for example. I mean, presumably you guys don't mind too much because you actually tune into the streams if you're watching this now. But not everyone wants that kind of thing, which is why we only do it about once a week. Hopefully that's not too much spam for people.
As long as they can't toggle off the game update announcement in the time.
That won't be affected.
Bring back Karasi. No.
So we like the idea, and we'll look into it. Let's go ahead to the next
I
question.
don't mind having Karasi, but her sword...
I do.
Actually, Karasi is not all that dissimilar from the Blessed Tsar swords you can get from the Bounty Hunter store. If you look at the stats,
The spec attack
and
was
run the
like...
numbers.
Karasi was unbelievable.
Yeah, you could wield...
damage of 50% of your max hit.
I didn't know it had min damage. Okay, that's different. Never mind.
Well, we can have the woman Karasi. She doesn't have to have a sword.
You wield her.
Just...
Alright, MF Iron says, can we see a slight buff to the Ring of Life? I think it's long overdue. His argument was interesting. He said, the Ring of Life was implemented many years back.
Yep.
And way back then, the strongest monsters were not very strong at all in comparison to the ones we have these days. So therefore, it makes sense to add a buff, I guess. So
Actually,
he says,
it makes sense to let the ring that costs about 3,000 coins to make be about as useful as the 3,000 coins it costs.
I'd rather
Hang on.
I'd rather add a higher level ring that has that.
So let's listen to his idea. It says, the ability to imbue it to increase the percentage at which teleportation is triggered to something like 20%. So you imbue it, you actually put much more cost than just 3k into it, whether that's through Nightmare Zone or however we please.
What if you imbue it a lot, like you do something bloody expensive to it, at which point like imbue, and then you get the option to set the threshold percent yourself between 5 and 50.
That's the thing, is like there's not much of a benefit if you do set it to 50.
Well, unless you go into a closed scroll somewhere in the wilderness, and then you teleport
In the low
away.
wilderness, it is.
Well, it stops working over level 20.
Yeah, against PKers, I guess that could be a little bit more
We can stop it
effective.
working in PvP. It could be a PVM only.
Is that the only instance that'd be a complication then, is PvP?
Um,
Because really the concern here is people doing stuff like the number one ranked hardcore Iron Man died to, I believe it was his own net actually going out, and of course he would probably have preferred to use a 50%.
that's true, but then does that not take away the achievements of hardcore Iron Man in itself, in that you are virtually safe in any
That's
dangerous
not a good
environment?
argument, yeah.
20% is, I think, a fair threshold. It'd be interesting to see what the community thought about it. I think 50% might be a bit much.
I think if the ring's a lot more expensive and it's still consumed,
Make it a new ring.
It depends on the cost, what we decide to charge to imbue it, really.
could be an attachment to the Ring of Life, or that's anything really.
I want to move away from attaching things to things. It's so annoying.
Speaking of the Ring of Life effect, by the way, though, I had a look at the Faith amulet. I think it is we released the other week from.
Your necklace
Well,
of
that's
faith.
for prayer.
Yeah, that's it. It does it when you're taking damage because it's plugged in next to the Ring of Life. And I was just wondering if that was the best place for it.
It seems like you should do it when your prayer drops to that level, not.
Doesn't it activate on when you're it? Oh no, it's activate when your prayer goes below.
It's checking for your prayer going below a certain amount, but it appears to have been plugged in to do its check when you are taking damage.
To me, it should be plugged in where your prayer is reduced. Personally.
We might want to review how that's working.
No one that worked on it's on the sofa. It's hard to confirm, but we'll chase that one perhaps.
Okay.
We'll look into it.
We're running quite low on time today, I think. Yeah, we've got 5 minutes left, so let's see if we can tackle just a couple more. There's one with an image. I believe it was a suggestion here from the community from 2JZ. If we can throw that up on the screen. It says, graphical update to the jewelry teleport interface in the player-owned house. So you can see that. Just imagine something quite convenient looking. There it is.
This is budget.
Yeah.
Somebody tell me if there are PogChamps or dance games in the chat right now. What are they
PogChamps.
saying? Okay.
Many PogChamps.
Well, it's prettier.
It's an interface that people use a lot. I can see justification in spending time to make a custom interface for that.
Perhaps for the general quality of life poll next week after the PvP
Could
one.
Cool.
Okay, cool, good idea. Let's do this one from Versace. He says, in Clan Wars, some people leave the clan chat when they get piled or their prayer runs out, and then rejoin the clan chat to come back into the fight. It doesn't count as a kill for the other team, even though it should. So that's really the question is, can that count as a kill for the other team?
So long as we can identify what team they are in when they are in a state where they're not in a team, we'd have to make sure we count it to the right side, otherwise it would be worse than useless.
If it's possible, it would make sense, I think.
Well, that would be the reason it currently doesn't. It doesn't know what team they're in.
Okay, cool. Shin Shin says, can you make the rune pouch acquirable from other sources other than the Bounty Hunter store? It's kind of the only thing going for the Bounty Hunter store,
Yeah, so perhaps not.
just to say that.
And yet, Deadman.
Oh, it's true, you can't get it on Deadman Worlds.
We could put it somewhere else on Deadman.
The gods.
Wilderness bosses.
Ooh, yeah.
If in Deadman the wilderness bosses drop the rune pouch, I think that'd be fair. The wilderness bosses don't drop much stuff that's useful in Deadman.
No.
We could actually let them drop the emblems like they currently do, and then people can get all the stuff from that shop.
And they're quite dangerous, very far from a safe zone, and
It's true.
not very killed in
Yeah,
Deadman.
they could just drop the emblems.
Okay.
It opens up another question. So raids aren't available on Deadman because they're instanced.
We decided to make an exception for that on the permanent
Yeah,
Deadman.
but so when we come to do the next season and the invitational, things like Dragon Claws wouldn't be available. So if we want them to be, we'd have to either find a way to make raids suitable for the Deadman environment, or put them somewhere else. Is that something we even want to explore? It's more for your thoughts than anything else. But Dragon Claws I can see being a popular thing. Twisted Bow maybe not. Because we could put something like that on the wilderness bosses at a stupidly high drop rate.
Yeah, I mean, we did actually pull Dragon Claws with red dragons in Deadman, and that failed quite miserably.
Was that about the claws though, or about the dragons?
I think it was the dragons, because there was obvious support for the claws in the pull not too long after that. Just coming from red dragons didn't seem to make much sense, I suppose, even though that probably makes more sense.
Well, we're about 4.5, 5 weeks from next season, so we should stick it on a poll before then.
Yeah, cool.
What's the chat saying?
Rotman mode.
Fair enough.
All right, we'll get through a couple more questions then. Sean says, can players with 99 Slayer be able to obtain a task from any Slayer Master, please? In this instance, I believe he is a low combat pure with 99 Slayer, but cannot receive Smoke Devils or Jad because it's based on combat level, not Slayer level.
Hang on, you can toggle off the combat level consideration.
I think he's talking about you can't go to Duradel
I see.
or,
Or Neve, yeah.
or Steve.
While I don't have a problem with the idea in principle, the idea of saying that somebody doesn't have the requirement to go to Duradel, I mean, sure, it's not like a Max Cape kind of requirement, but it's still a requirement. The idea of saying, well, you no longer need that, you will substitute it for something else that you'd rather get.
I think access, so in terms of physically getting there, still have to do all the quests, but you would supersede the combat requirement to get the task from them with Titan, so that would be okay. Because
You've got something that's technically harder to get than max combat. On the other hand, you have chosen not to get your combat level up for a reason.
I definitely understand that you've chosen to limit yourself, but if he's got the 99 Slayer cape and he's not looking for Slayer experience, he's just...
The warrior
if he's
skill
going for like a completionist, I want the Jad put on my pure thing.
The warrior skill allows it, so if you don't have, because you need combined 130 attack and strength, but if you have 99 attack and 1 strength, it still lets you in. So you can mostly probably so you can go purchase your
I'm
cape.
pretty sure that was done straight off from launch from the Warriors Guild, rather than being something about removing the requirement later.
It's true.
We can, of course, remove the requirement just fine. There's nothing to stop us doing so. They just haven't always gone so well when we did.
Right. So the element that you can go to Duradel and he'll say, "Oh wow, what an amazing Slayer you are! Here's your cape," but then he won't even give you a test.
Yeah.
It's a little odd,
The thing is here is this would have to be pulled, I can only assume, and this is something that would benefit peers, not even PvP peers, but people who just choose to, make the game a bit more challenging, PVM-wise, so we'll have to see how
but
it
it's fair,
do unfold.
I have no issue with it.
Yep.
Okay. We'll do one last question, I think. Once God says, can the construction cape be given a second option that will instantaneously teleport you to your house? Currently in PVM scenarios, the cape will open an interface that is easily interrupted by combat.
I had a look at that. It's got another op space for it.
Yeah, we can do that then. Sure.
Fantastic. That's going to sum up the Q&A then. We've got a bunch to save for next week. But, yeah, this was pretty painless this week, actually. It was nice. Comfy
So much
couch,
easier
too.
than going to the pubs, apparently.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. Yeah, that being said, I don't know if we'll be back here again next week.
You're welcome to use it if you need it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for hosting us this time.
Welcome.
Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Aside from that, well, thank you for watching. We'll catch you next week.
Bye.